Good day to you, my grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's mathematical literacy lesson. My name is Bernard Donko. This lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Pagama Research and Development. So today we want to do a revision of the entire paper 2 so that you get an idea of how far you are and what are the few things you need to take note of during the examination. So at the end of the lesson, the objective, the hope from my side is that you will be able to answer whatever the questions that come from measurements, as well as maps and plans and probability. So stay tuned, let's get through it. Some of the things that I hope you know by now is your ability to calculate or do measurement questions that involves maps and plans and probability, your basic calculation skills, how to round, how to substitute, how to interpret maps. All of them are going to be crucial if we are going to do very well in this paper 2. So without taking much time, I have given you some few baseline activities here that I want us to look at. Look at the values on your left or the words on your left, and then we are going to look for the correct answer from the right side, meaning we are going to match what is in column A with those that are in column B. So the first one is talking about area. When we talk about area, what is it? When we talk about capacity, what are we speaking of? When we speak of circumference, diameter, volume, floor plan, you should be able to identify and be able to utilize the explanation or the definition appropriately. So can you quickly go through it? Let us try to match the word that goes with its explanation so that we see if by this time already you are fine or not. All right, so if you did it correctly, we are looking at the following. Whenever we talk of area or when you find questions like this, maybe what you can do is to look at the ones that you know first. All right, so let's take the area. When we talk of the area, which of the answers from A to F do you think the answer is? When we talk of area, it is the amount of two-dimensional space occupied by a 2D shape. So the answer is going to be C. I hope you got that one correct. How about capacity? Look through it and tell me which one did you get correct. Capacity is the amount of space available to hold something. So that should give us F. All right. What about circumference? Another word for circumference is perimeter. So which one here would you say is the circumference? I hope you got it correct. The distance around. So we are speaking of this, that gives us what? B. Okay, so now we are halfway. How about diameter? Whenever you hear diameter, what are we talking about? We are talking of the line or a straight line passing through the center of a circle and touching the circle at both ends, therefore dividing the circle into two equal halves. So diameter will give us E. All right, then let's have the others. We are talking of volume. So when we see volume, we are talking of the amount of 3D space occupied by an object. So we are talking of volume as our D. And then the last one will be our floor plan. So whenever you see floor plan, the examiner is asking you to explain floor plan. You will just say it shows the design and dimensions of the inside of the building. Or you can say it's as if you are looking at the building from the top without the roof. We are talking about floor plan. All right, so let's get some few tips that you can take with during the examination. All right, you know the paper by now, it is supposed to be out of 150 marks for paper 2. So which topics are we looking at? You're looking at measurements, maps and plans, and probability. But how are the marks distributed? Measurement is going to count for about 83 of the marks. Maps and plans will count for about 60, and then probability will count for about 7, plus minus. So all in all, with this 150 marks, you are supposed to write it in a period of 3 hours. So don't forget. Now, on the measurement, you know we have conversions. We are going to be asked questions about instruments and tools that we can use to measure. You know we are going to be asking you about perimeter, BMI, area, surface area, volume, capacity, just a lot. So it is very vital that during this revision program, you pause the video, try to watch and see if you can be able to answer all the subtopics. When we talk of maps and plans, we are going to ask questions, or we are going to answer questions on scale, to determine the scale factor, determine the scale as a ratio, work with maps, work with floor plans, layout plans, elevation plans. It's just so many. So the examiner can pick from any of these to ask you questions about what? Maps and plans. And along the way, during measurement, maps and plans, you will find questions on probability. So you need to get ready for that. How do you get to know whether you have been able to have everything ready? Then you can look at the following. So use this as your checklist for maps and plans. If you have managed to talk about scale drawings of plans, that is calculating values according to scale, maps and grids, find the following on a map, on a drawing to scale, any of this or all of them, as long as you have been able to answer them effectively, then you know you are ready. The same way goes to measurement. I have given you the checklist, the points that you need to consider when we are talking about measurement. So like converting units of measurement, being able to estimate or measure, measure, calculate area, surface area, volume, perimeter, capacity of various shapes. Or when you are given values, being able to adjust the values to accommodate or deal with whatever the question the examiner is asking you. It means that you are fine in terms of measurement. Now, when you get your paper, you would know there will be instructions, and then the vigilators will be telling you you have to you have 10 minutes to go through the paper, during which time you are not supposed to write anything. So as you are reading through, read carefully the instructions, know which question you want to answer first, so that you are able to plan accordingly. All right. Other tips when you talk of maps and plans, then you should know that we are going to have the kinds of scales that we use. We have our number scale and the bar scale. An example of a number scale is what you are seeing on the screen, the one that I've just highlighted or circled. Then this one is what you call our bar scale. So I would suggest that if they ask you what kind of scale is it, just say it is a number scale. And then this one, the one which says 1:2, we are talking of it as a number scale. All right. So what does the number scale represent then? Whenever you see 1:50 or 1:100, or whatever value the examiner gives to you, they are saying that the one, the value on your left, represents the value on paper or on the plan. Then the value on your right side represents the value in actual size. So if I have 1:80, what it means is that in the exam, when the examiner says explain what the scale means, we want you to write 1 unit on the plan represents, in this case 80, represents 80 units in reality. Just write that. Okay, 1 unit on the plan represents 80 units in reality. So if they have given you 120 here, then you're going to say 1 unit on the plan represents 120 units in reality. Just for that sentence, you do get 2 marks for that. So it's very important. Another thing that you should take note of, immediately you get the paper and they say to you, you must start writing. Then I want you to draw this triangle on your question paper. Why? Because it will help you to answer all the questions that involves maps, actual distance, measured distance or map distance, and scale. This triangle will help you. So how do you then use it? You see, I have written here AD. AD means actual distance, right? Then I have MD, which is the map distance, and then SF is our scale factor. What it means is that the examiner can ask you any of these three questions. They can ask you to calculate the actual distance, the map distance, or calculate the scale in which a certain map is drawn. Then you are asking, how do we use it? Whenever they say you must use it or calculate the actual distance, look at these lines. Whenever you see the horizontal line, can you see that I have put a divide sign between them? Meaning, whenever you are finding the values, if the line is horizontal, it means you divide. If the line is vertical, moving from top to bottom, it means you must multiply. So for example, let's say the examiner says find the actual distance, meaning we are going to cover the AD. Once you cover the AD, you realize that the other two figures that you need to look out for, they are MD and SF. But how do they relate? Can you see their line is vertical? There's a line that is between the two. It means that if you want to find AD, you will say AD equals MD times SF. AD, if you want to find AD, is going to be what? MD times SF. What is the SF? If my scale is, let's say, 1:400, then my SF, which is my scale factor, is what? 400. Not 1:400. It is 400. So let's say the distance on the map is 5 centimeters. Because the examiner says you must find the actual length, the actual size, the actual distance, then you're going to say 5 centimeters times my SF of 400. Then you press and then you write your answer. The same way, if they are saying find MD, it means you are going to cover the MD, meaning that the two that are left are AD and SF. But how do they relate? You will see that it is what? AD divided by SF, no longer multiplying because the AD is up there. So we're going to say AD is equal to, MD is equal to AD divided by SF. What's our SF again? You will get your scale factor from the scale, the value on your right side. As long as the value on your left is 1, it means the value on your right side is your SF, which is your scale factor. All right, so let's look at how do we apply them in answering questions. When you are asked to calculate the actual distance or actual length, for example, they are saying if 20 centimeters is measured on the map, look at that. You circle it, measured on the map. So this is your MD, the map distance. All right. So what's our map distance? Is 20. Okay. So we have here 20. Then it says calculate the real. Once you see real, the examiner is saying calculate the actual AD. This one. So calculate the real distance in kilometers given a scale of 1:20,000. So it means that from this scale, you will get your scale factor of 20,000. So now we have got two of the numbers, right? We have got the 20, we have got the 20,000. So 20,000, I will write it here, 20,000. So you see now I have got 20 and 20,000, meaning I am looking for actual, the real. So the actual will be MD times SF. That is why you see I am writing it here, 20 times 20,000. That will give me 400,000. Okay, now 400,000, it is in centimeters because the value which was given to us in the question is in centimeters. Then from there, you will be able to convert it from centimeters to kilometers. Another way that will help you, you don't forget to write your kilometers. or King Henry died miserable death called measles. So this is kilometers, and this is centimeters. So going backwards here, you will divide. Hence, you see that I am dividing by 100,000. So whenever you have your values in centimeters and you have to take it to kilometers, it means you divide by 100,000. If the value is in kilometers and the examiner wants it in centimeters, then you divide that value by, you multiply that value by 100,000. Okay, let's look at the second point. When the examiner wants you to calculate the map distance, they want this one. So if they want the map distance, it means they must give you the actual distance and scale factor so that you can be able to divide those values. So it says the actual, do you see how the question comes? The actual height of a door is given as 2,2 meters. Use the scale of 1:20 to determine the measure length on the plan in centimeters. So we have the two values that we need. What are they? 2.2 meters, which is the AD. Then what's our scale factor? 20. Remember, the scale factor is the value on your right side, as long as the one on the left is the number 1. So our scale factor is 20. So what do we do? MD is going to be equal to AD divided by SF. What's my AD? 2.2 divided by SF. Don't try to swap the numbers around. Write them the way the formula is so that you get all your marks. Can you see when I say 2.2 divided by 20 is going to give me what? 0.11 meters. But remember, the examiner says you must leave your answer in centimeters. So then once you have your answer in meters, you are able to convert using your King Henry died miserable death called measles. I hope it is making sense to you now. All right, let's look at number 3. What if they want us to find the scale, not the scale factor? They want us to find what? The scale. So look at the question. It says the actual length is 9.5 meters. The length on the plan, meaning the MD, is 4,75 meters. Determine the scale. Do you see what we are doing now? So once you are reading, you must just highlight what the examiner gave to you so that you can be able to utilize it in your calculation, right? So SF, according to our formula, we don't know it yet, but to find SF is going to be AD divided by MD. So we don't know SF, but our MD is 4,75. Our AD is 9.5. So the first thing you can do is to try and convert the AD, which is 9.5, from meters to become what? Centimeters, because already our MD is in centimeters. So then you multiply 9.5 or whatever the value you have been given, because it is in meters, you multiply it by 100. That will give you the value in centimeters. Then what do you do now? Since all your values are in centimeters, remember your formula says AD equals to, SF is equal to AD divided by MD. So SF equals AD, which is 950, divided by MD, which is 4,75. You get 200. That 200 is your scale factor. It's not yet your scale. The 200 is what? The scale factor. So in order to write it as a scale, which the examiner wants, you will just say, my scale is 1:200. That is it. You are done for those 4 marks or 5 marks or whatever the marks are. So you are going to do well. Just learn to do the things much more simpler. Don't try to complicate it, because once you are not able to complicate it, it means you are going to get as many marks as you can. All right. Let's look at another one. Let's say you are given a bar scale and the examiner wants you to use the bar scale to answer questions. So for example, they are saying if the length on the map between 2 towns is 4 centimeters, meaning on the paper, that is your MD, don't forget. So on the paper, it is 4 centimeters. You are supposed to calculate what? The actual distance. So you see now in our case here, there are only 2 values they are giving to us. They have given us 4 centimeters on the map, but they want actual distance, meaning the SF, the scale factor, is somewhere there. So then what you do, you take your ruler, you measure the whole bar. Try to measure the whole bar. It is safer that way. Measure the whole bar. In our case, can you see, you start from the 0 side to the end. So we are using from what we are doing here. If we measured, we got 5 centimeters. What does it mean? It means that we are using 5 centimeters to represent the last value on our bar, which is what? 300 kilometers. So already you have got a scale. It says 5 centimeters is being used to represent 300,000. The whole idea of using the bar scale is to help you get a number scale from the bar scale so that you can be able to work like the way you would do normally. So look at how you can do it. The first one, measure. Once you measure, you write it down. It's being used to represent what? 300 kilometers. So measure, you've gotten it. Then, now that you are able to write 5 centimeters equals 300 kilometers, the next thing you have to do is to go back and answer the question. If 5 centimeters is being used to represent 300, then 4 centimeters will be what? So you look at it, you're going to start with the value that you want to convert, which is the 4. Because it's in centimeters, you're going to divide it by the other 5 centimeters which you measured. Okay? You take the 4 from the question, you divide it by the value which you measured from the bar scale, and then you multiply everything by the last number on the bar scale. In our case here, the last number is what? 300. So you see I've written 4 centimeters divided by 5 centimeters multiplied by 300. So you see I am able to cancel the centimeters, meaning my answer is going to be in kilometers. Then you take your calculator, you press, you will get your answer, and probably in the question is about 4 marks or 5 marks. Do not write so many things. Maybe you want to go and get the scale first before you multiply by the scale factor. That is okay, but this is also a much more quicker and simpler way. You take the value which the examiner wants you to convert, you write it down first. Then you go and measure the bar. Come and write the value that you got underneath the value from the question. Then you times it by the last value on the bar scale. That is it. You are done. All right. So let's go through some few questions so that we can move. It says, determine the scale used on the map in the form 1:. So you go to the map, you will see that they have attached a bar scale. So what do you do? Like what we did now. We are going to measure the whole bar, and then it's to the last value on the bar scale. So when we measured, learners, you take the ruler and measure to get the correct value. Okay, so you measured, let's say you got 2 is being used to represent the last value, which is what? 500 kilometers. So what do you do next? They said they want a scale, so they didn't give us any other values. Therefore, what you do, because the 2 on your left is in centimeters, you can convert the kilometers also to centimeters. What do? Multiply it by 100,000. So then the 500 kilometers will now become 50 million centimeters. Once you're able to do that, it becomes this way. Okay, 2 centimeters represents 50 million centimeters. So because they want the scale 1:2, it means that the value on our left side has to be 1. That is why you have to divide this 2 by itself. If it was 3 that we measured and got, we're going to divide by 3. If we had got 4.7, we are going to divide it by 4.7 on both sides. So we are dividing by 2 because we measured and we got 2 with this example that we are doing here. So 2 centimeters will cancel 2 centimeters, you get 1. Meaning whatever number you share by itself, you get 1. So here, then 50 million divided by 2, you are going to get 25 million. So your scale for that map is what? 1:25 million. You have answered the question. Okay. Now let's go to another point. Some of the maps that you are going to find, they will show you the arrow with the letter N on it, or they will attach a nice compass to it. Both of them do the same job. So how do we go by it? Every time you get a map, let's say in the paper 2, there's a map, but then there's the arrow N. If the arrow is not pointing up like the way you are seeing it on this screen, then what you do is to turn the paper until the arrow faces up. So let's say, for example, they are saying, what is the position of town A from maybe town B? But you realize that your arrow is something this way with the letter N. Do you see the example that I'm giving now? My arrow is not pointing straight up. So what you do, you turn your arrow to come and face up. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You turn your arrow to face up so that now you can be able to answer the question. So let's say this is town A and there is town, maybe B, but this was the arrow. You will turn the arrow until it faces up. Once it faces up, then you can use your pencil or your pen, okay? Put them across that dot so that you see north, south, east, west. Or for you to remember easily, you just say, never ever smoke weed. Never ever smoke weed. Something simple that can help you to remember as quickly as you can. So once the arrow is facing up, then you can draw your plus on where you are going so that you can be able to check. Like in this case, because we want to see what is the position of this town. Once we have drawn the plus, then you draw a line to come there. Do you see that my line is between south and east? So your answer is SE, or southeast. That is it. You are done. All right, let's go on. You are going to be asked to give a set of directions, just a whole lot of questions. So I want you to be remembering. Use these words like go straight, turn right, turn left, proceed, make a U-turn. These are the words we look out for when we are marking your paper. So I encourage you to get used to using these words. Do not just say continue going. Okay, continue going where? Try to use landmarks in your explanation to say proceed until you find this, or go straight until you find that or that or that. Don't just say go straight, because it is not complete. Go straight where? So because you want your full marks, learn to construct sentences that are full, that are complete. Assuming you are given this kind of map, do you see that on the left of the map, there is a number that starts from 0 to wherever they want it to reach. If you go to the other side, it is also starting from 0 going up. What it means is that you can be able to use any of the values. So let's say, for example, we want to move from any town somewhere here, okay? So we have what? Marienthal. Assuming we want to find the distance from Marienthal to, let's say, Tsano. So we are from where? Marienthal to Tsano. Then, how do we get to find the distance between them? Read from your left, from 0 up until you see that town. You see there's a number here on the left. You just write that number, 738, then you put kilometers. This is it. That is the answer. Let's take another example. Maybe we have at Okahanja, or let's take another one from Pilanesberg. We are from Pilanesberg, so we are somewhere here. We are going to maybe Gaborone, but we are looking at this line. So can you see now I have got two numbers. The number is not starting from 0 for me because Pilanesberg is somewhere around 98 kilometers from the start. So what you do in this case, these two numbers, subtract them. So you say 279 minus 98. Whatever value you get, that is the distance between the two places. Does that make sense to you? If you are going to a place which is not straight, like let's say we are from Pretoria, but they are asking us to go to maybe this town called Francistown using the N4, meaning we are not going direct, so the distance is not 279. In that case, we will take the distance from Pretoria to Lebatha, which is what? 279. So you write your 279 down. Then from Lebatha to Francistown, what is the other distance? There is the distance that is given. Can you see that? So we have the distance of 45. So you're going to say plus 45. Then there's another distance of what? 455. You will add all those distances together. That will be the distance from Pretoria to Francistown if you are using the N4. So you keep on adding. Once you see values like this which are not in any form of shape, it means that is the distance between the two places. I hope that makes sense to you. All right. So now we've talked a bit about measurement. Let's look at plans. Plans You have to be able to use instructions, assembly diagrams. You should be able to complete tasks, understand the symbols like I already showed to you, describe what is being represented on the plans. So let's get into it then. If it's assembly diagram, you'll find something like what you are seeing on the screen. Most of the time, the examiner will give you some of the instructions and ask you to complete the other instructions. Or the examiner will be saying, identify the tools or what is it that needs to be done here and there. Meaning we want to test your knowledge about whether you have understood the whole idea. Like this example that I'm giving here. This is a cell phone. If you look at the first one, look at the arrow, look at what is happening and try to describe it. That's what we want you to do. So here maybe we have located where the SIM card tray is. Then we are using the pin to eject the SIM card tray. You write that, maybe it's 2 marks or 1 mark, you get your mark. You look at the next one, you see that the arrow is moving out of the cell phone. It means what? Take out the SIM card tray. You write these words and you are getting your full marks for that. So we are going to be testing you and I want you to be very much ready for that. All right, let's look at the floor plan then. So on the floor plan, what are some of the questions the examiner can ask? First, you should know that a floor plan shows the top view of a building without the roof. Floor plan what? Shows the top view of a building without the roof. So you just see lines, but all of the lines, what do they mean? The examiner will be asking you questions. Another thing you should notice that the floor plans are usually drawn to scale, meaning that is the size which the builders are going to use to make the real building. So let's get there and see how we are going to talk about it. If you look at the floor plan, you will see there are doors. So most of the time, the examiner will give you the symbol to say, this symbol means that, that symbol means this. If you see lines which are this kind, we are talking about windows. If you see a line that is thick, like this one, that's a wall. So you will find that on your question paper, the examiner will give you any, not all. They will give you as many as they want. So when you see this a wall, this a window, there's also another kind of window, there's a door. Can you see the lines here? We are talking about a sliding door, a door placement. It's like you just have to try and remember what you have been learning in class. Then you bring it to the paper. So now let's look at how we can do it. You can get the floor plan, then the examiner will also give you elevation plan. So elevation plan is basically showing you the side view of the building as if they are standing. So elevation is like the building has been lifted. So we have the north, south, east, west, or the front, the back, side, and side. So the elevations are there because the examiner wants to combine the elevations together with the floor plan and ask you questions. Right. The elevations definitely give us the complete structure of the building. They are drawn to scale, and then they show different features of the wall. You see here, if you look on the plan, you will see this is example a window. But when you draw it, you will see the window as a window from the 2D diagram. So then you need to know how to utilize it and answer questions based on that. We are revising. I am highlighting the various points that will help you to know what you have to do on the day of writing. Now let's go to packaging in terms of modeling. All right. So whenever you find questions that are on packaging, then there are keywords that are going to tell you this one is about packaging. Words like pack or stack, S-T-A-C-K, or packaged or package, arrange, fit, all of them. Once you see the examiner is using those words, it means they want you to do packaging questions. Don't forget. And the packaging questions, it means definitely there's either a big space or a big area that we want to fit smaller things. So always in the packaging question, we always start with the space that we have or the measurements that we have, divide by the item measurement that we want to measure, we want to pack. I will go into detail just quickly for you now. So can you see there are two rectangular boxes here? We have box A and box B. we want to pack something like this, which looks like a cold drink or a can of a drink. So we want to pack them here. Then what do? If you look close, the examiner said the height of the can is 24 centimeters. Then in our case here, they have given us the radius. You must never use the radius to do the calculation, because radius is just a distance from the center of the circle to any part of the circle. So when you are packing objects, you are packing from one side to the other, meaning we have to use the diameter. Are we together? So when they give you the radius, your job first is to multiply the radius by 2 so that you get a complete line, meaning from one side of the can to the other side. Then you can be able to answer questions based on them. So now let's look then. Let's go back and see. Here, if we want to package here, the first thing we are going to do, we are going to say the 9 centimeters multiplied by 2. That will give us the diameter of 18 centimeters. So to package this can in this box A, we are going to take each measurement, right? So the first one is 130. So if it's 130, we are going to say 130 divided by the 18 which you got. Then we come to the side here, is 104. So we write 104. We divide it still by 18. Why are we dividing by 18? Because the object is round. It's a cylinder. So it doesn't matter whether you're arranging it on the left to right or right to left. You are always going to get the same diameter. Then the last one, we are going to pack them. So we will be taking the height, which is what? 25 divided by 24. But now, this is the trick. You press each one of them. When you press each one of them, let's start with the first one. Let's say 130 divided by 18. That will give us, it will give us 7.22. But because you are packing something, you must never consider the decimal places. The decimal places is just telling you that the space is just that it is not big enough to fit another. So you always round down. What do? You round down the value. So we got 7.22. It means we are going to say 7. Okay? Then you come to your next one. It's 104 divided by 18. So you are going to get 5.78. You write your answer 5.78. But remember what I just said to you. We don't consider the decimal. The space is not big to fit another can. If you force, you are going to damage either the box or the space. So even though it's 5.78, it looks big. We are only going to fit 5. Are you there with me? We never consider the decimal place when we are talking about packing or packaging. Then the last one is what? 25 divided by 24. So that will give us 1.04. So we are going to pack only 1. Now, do you see you have got the number 7, 5, and 1. What you do, you will now come and write 7 times 5 times 1. You are not plusing, you are multiplying. You must say 7 times 5 times 1. So you go and press, not the ones with the decimals. Once you press the ones with the decimals, you are talking about volume. But now we are talking about what? Volume in a practical term. Therefore, we use the rounded down values. So we will take our 7 times 5 times 1. What do they mean? It means we can put 7 on this line, we can put 5 on that line, and then there's only going to be one stack. So our answer means 35, meaning in box A, we can put 35 cans. You are done. Whether it's 6 marks or 7 marks or 8 marks, you are done. So the examiner will be saying, this person who bought the item said they can fit maybe 16 or 38 of them, verify. So this is how you verify. You verify doing the calculations so that you can confirm whether it can fit there or not. And when the examiner says verify, it does not always mean the value which they give to you must always be correct. The examiner is just testing you to see if you can do the correct things. So the claim can be true or the claim can be invalid. It does not mean you must always get the value which the examiner gave to you. So you can do the same thing here. Do you see box B is 65, 49, and 52? So you're going to start always with the box before the can, meaning you will take your 65, you divide it by 18. You take the next one, which is what? 49, you divide by 18. And then the last one is 52 divided by, now you divide, sorry, the 49 divided by the height, because we are talking of the height, which is 24. And then this 52 divided by 18. Remember, you must press the answer, then you round it down. Press the answer, you round it down. When you are done with all the three, then you can be able to multiply. Do not add. Multiply the answers that you got, like what we did here. Multiply them. Okay, now let's move to the next one. When you talk of measurement again, please remember the examiner is going to ask you a variety of questions. So if you have watched some of our videos before, we have been talking about conversions. Remember that every time you convert from something big to small, you multiply. But if you are converting from something small to big, then you divide. That is very, very key. So that takes us to the end of the few tips which I wanted to share with you. Now, I have given you a variety of questions that I want us to go through quickly so that we can see whether we can understand what we're doing. So here, we have got these small boxes. We want to pack them in this box A, meaning we want to pack box B to box A. So like what we did previously, you take each one. The first one is what? 96 divided by 9. You come and take the 40, you divide it by also 9. Can you see every side is a cube? So all the measurements are the same. So I'm going to divide by 9. Then the height, which is 50, I'm also going to divide it by 9. Remember, you must write your answer, then you round it down. Write your answer, round it down. Then you multiply your three numbers. It is very key. You multiply them. Don't add. Don't say maybe it's 5, 4, and 9. Say 5 plus 4 plus 9. No. You must be able to answer the questions by multiplying them. So they said we must calculate the area of the cardboard box A. So area is always length times width. So it's going to be length multiplied by the width. Because the units are the same, you don't worry. You multiply them and then you finish. Then you go to calculate the volume of box B. So volume, they're saying is what? Length times breadth times height. So it's going to be what? 9 centimeters times 9 centimeters times 9 centimeters. Then you press 9 times 9 times 9. You get your answer, and then it becomes whatever answer you got in centimeters cubed. Let's press those three. For box B is going to be 9 times 9 times 9. That will give us 729 centimeters cubed. Centimeters cubed because we are multiplying three values. Are we together? Okay. Let's go to the next point then. The next one says, determine how many boxes of chalk B can be packed into A, like what we were doing previously. So you pack on the length, you pack on the width, you pack on the height. So how are you going to do that then? Like we already discussed, it's going to be 96 divided by 9. Then it's going to be 40 divided by 9. I am using 9 because the box that we want to pack is what? It's a cube. All the dimensions are the same. Then we're having 50 divided by 9. Let us press them quickly. So you take your calculator, you press your 96, you divide it by 9, that should give you 10.67. You write 10.67. So we can only pack 10. Remember what I said to you, do not include the decimal places, no matter how big you think it is. Ignore it. The next one is 40 divided by 9. That will give us 4.44. 4.44. So you can only pack 4. All right, the last one is 50 divided by 9. That will give us 5.56. 5.56. So we ignore the decimal, we can only write 5. So how many numbers do we have now? We have 10, 4, and 5. So you say 10 times 4 times 5. That will give us answer. So let's press 10 times 4 times 5. Meaning we can pack 10 on this length. We can pack 4 lines. And then we can stack them up 5 stacks. So all in all, we can be able to put 200 boxes of chalk in the bigger one. That is it. That is packaging. So you can always score as many marks as you want, as long as you don't try to complicate things. Just pause the video, look at how I did it. All right, if one small chalk box contains 100 pieces of chalk, determine how many pieces of chalk one big cardboard box holds. Remember your previous answer. Let's go back. You managed to have 200 there. So they are saying there are 200 of boxes there. Each box, how many chalks are in there? 100. So we are going to say times 100. So your answer which you got, you just multiply it by 100, and that will give you 20,000 pieces of chalk. That is it. For whatever the marks, you are done. Let's talk of something that is rounded, like an aqueous cream, like a can. So once you realize that the shape is round, it's a cylinder. Therefore, we always think of working with cylinder. We can use the volume, the radius, the diameter. So let's look here. An aqueous cream is sold in 100 milliliter jars. The cylindrical jars are filled with cream to a height of 4.5 milliliters. Calculate in centimeters the diameter of the jar. Then the examiner says you can use the formula volume equals pi r squared h, where pi is 3.142. Note, every 1 milliliter is the same as 1 centimeter cubed. So then, because 1 is to 1, it means that 4.5 milliliters is the same as 4.5 centimeters cubed. Look at the note. They are saying 1 milliliter is the same as 4.5 centimeters cubed. So the first thing you do is to try and change the unit. All right, that is our volume. So now they are looking for height. There is they're looking for diameter. Meaning, since in our formula we don't have diameter, it means we have to find the radius first. Are you with me? So how do you find the radius first? We are going to say radius is going to be equal to volume divided by pi times height. All right, now let's check. Volume is, let's go back so you can see the value. It's what? 100 milliliters. Ne? So because it's also milliliters, it means it's what? 100 centimeters cubed. Good, I hope you remembered that. So it's 100 divided by pi times height, because we are looking for r. So when you see that you have to find radius, it means that it's going to be the square root sign. I hope on your calculator that you are using, there is a square root sign. So you first press the square root sign, then you press the divide button. I'm going to say it again. You press the square root sign on your calculator, you press that divide button which is having the boxes. So now you can be able to press your 100, then you press the arrow down, you press open bracket 3.142 times 4.5. You close your bracket, then you press your equal sign. So you see you got 2.66. That is radius. But remember, the examiner says find the diameter. So then what you do is to multiply the radius by 2 in order to get the diameter. I hope now you are understanding what you are about to face. What I need you to do is you pause the video, go over it so that you can be able to answer similar questions when you find them in the examination. So here are questions that I've given to you. it says Dr. Siroto, the head of Math Science and Technology, has to produce rectangular display boards when organizing the science fair. The external dimensions of the boards are 52 inches by 40 inches. You must then highlight them. 52 inches, 40 inches. The front surfaces of the boards must be spray painted with one layer of non-reflective white paint. Then the examiner has given information. It says every 1 milliliter of the paint covers 50 centimeters squared. 1 inch is the same as 25 millimeters. So question 1 or 3.1, it says determine, showing all calculations, whether 8 liters of paint will be enough to paint how many? 30 boards. And this is a past examination question paper that gave us about 10 marks. So this is how you work it out. You first have the values in inches, convert them from inches to centimeters. Why? Because can you see the paint is painted in centimeters squared, meaning our answers have to be in centimeters. Once you convert them, then you move, meaning you have your 52 times 25.4, it will give you millimeters. From millimeters to centimeters, we're dividing it by 10. That's why you see that we are dividing by 10 here for both ones. So we have 130 by 100, that will give us what? 1,300. Okay, we are looking for how many display boards? We have 30 of them. Each one is 1,300 centimeters cubed. So you multiply it by the number of display boards, which is 390,000 centimeters squared, which we need to paint. But remember, the examiner said every one, let's go back so you can see it quickly. The examiner says every 1 milliliter of paint is able to paint a space of what? 50. So since we have got 390,000, we are going to divide it by 50 so that it will tell us how many milliliters we need. It means we are going to need 7,800 milliliters. Okay, but again, I'm taking you back. The examiner says show all calculations whether 8 liters, not milliliters. So it means that once you get your answer in milliliters, you convert it. How do you convert? You divide it by 1,000. You convert from milliliters to liters by dividing by 1,000. So it means we need about 7.8 liters. The examiner says, if we buy 8 liters, will it be enough for all the 30? Yes, because we need only 7.8 and already we have got 8 liters. All right, so now that we have gone through paper 2, it is very important for you to also work on your own. Therefore, here is some homework for you. I need you to go through the questions, answer them, get yourself ready before you write paper 2 because it will help you a lot. Learners, let's try to summarize what we have done today. We've talked about getting ourselves ready for paper 2. So you should be able to understand that on the day you are writing, you are going to have questions on measurement, questions on maps and plans, as well as questions on probability. Your ability to use your formulas, your ability to use your calculator will come in very handy. I have no doubt you are going to do very well in that paper. So all I'm asking from you is believe in yourself, go out there and show how good you are. All right, learners, that brings us to the end of paper 2 revision. Thank you so much for staying with us up to this point. We will see you soon next time in the next lesson. Bye-bye.